credits.
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
What's up, Yesterland fans? I'm Neil, aka The Mundus, and on today's episode, The Toys That Made Sense, we're going to be finishing up in the installment on the 3.75 retro release action figures put out by Hasbro, the Star Wars ones. Remember, like my last video I did on the Empire and the one prior to that, the Mandalorian? Well, I've gone back down. We're going to finish up with the original Mandalorian 1.0 version, if you will, release on those action figures. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage and snack, because we're going over these today. All right, guys, back on the other side of the camera as usual. So let's get into it. We got an extra figure to go over on this one because in this round of the Star Wars The Mandalorian Retro Collection release, they gave us a 7th figure. We didn't get 6 in this line. So starting from right to left, as usual, we got IG-11. Then we got Moff Gideon. Then we got Cruel, or however they pronounce his name. I could never pronounce it correctly. Cara Dune. Griff Carga. We got the Mandalorian. And then we got the child here. So this is our line here. 7 figures. Let's hop into it because I don't want to go too long on this. So starting with IG-11. Again, we get the atrocious card as we have in this whole series line. And I've just faced it at this point. Hasbro sticking with it, and that's what we're getting. So if you want these figures, you're just going to have to suck it up and deal with it, or you just don't buy it. But we get IG-11. We get the retro sticker on front. We get the Kenner logo down on the bottom. We get the warning up in the right-hand corner, choking, and we get the age plus and the lot number and all that. We get the instruction booklet for the figurine here on the side for IG. In this series run, they folded it to the side and made it very nuisance if you were wanting to keep these in package or whatnot for display, but you get that big sore, white square looking thing in the back. Again, everybody knows where I stand on it, so I'm not going to go too in depth on it. But you get a very cool figure here. He looks like he's, molded and designed pretty decently here. I have seen some custom figures out there. I believe it's Toy Weaver and Pro Custom Figures. I believe they did a couple versions of these. They're a little bit, I want to say a little bit better. They're a lot better than Kenner. They spend a little bit more time into the tooling and the detailing and getting a better figure. But for, someone that can't afford maybe one of those, and when you pick this up at the time when these came out, which these came out in, I believe these were 21, if I'm not mistaken. I believe these were 2020 again. So I guess this was a double collection release, right? Empire came out in 20 early, and then this came out late 20 or something like that, or 21. Forgive me, those times are running because of COVID and whatnot. But anyways, here we go. IG-11, we get the long rifle, we get the typical, what I call the Imperial Blaster, and then you get IG here in his kind of tannish colored, brownish colored, color for the figure, which is actually not bad. He's actually not a bad color of a figurine. So they did pretty good on that one when they were doing that. Moving on, we got Moff Gideon here. Moff Gideon, I wasn't fond of this character design. He's just not one of my favorites. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't watched The Mandalorian, because if you haven't, good Lord, come on, guys, catch up. But he just wasn't one of my favorite characters. I love Giancarlo Esposito, I believe is his name, as an actor. I love him. I just didn't love him in this role. And I think a lot of that comes to the bad writing. But I don't want to get into script writing here. Anyways, going over the figure. He's not a bad designed figure. He kind of has that Vader look to him, minus the, we don't have the mask. We get the small weapon. We get his kind of grayish lightsaber and all that. But his mustache to me is way too big. Anybody that remembers Chico and the Man, he reminds me of Chico and that mustache. So, yeah. Just atrocious on that. And I don't like his hair, how they did it. They tried to make it look slick back, but it just doesn't look right. But anyways, Not one of my favorite characters in the plot and whatnot. Spin it around. We get the back here on the back. It's the same exact phrase from the Empire Strikes Back collection. So I'm not going to even read that. Moving on, we've got Cole, or however you pronounce his name. We know he's an Ugnaught. I believe he was done by Nick Nolte did the voice for Cool and Cool or whatever the hell his name is. Again, I'm sorry for butchering it. But anyways, we get his blaster. He's got some pretty colorful color scheme to match up with the way he looked, and that's about it. We get the horrible retro sticker on his graphic here. But what I like is they went with this looks like a captured scene shot, just like on Moff Gideon and IG-11. They used still shots for the graphics, so they did pretty good there, in my opinion. Now, moving on to Cara Dune, one of the most highly sought-after characters because of all the controversy that came out during the release of, I think it was the second season of Mandalorian, when all that, her beliefs and where she stood. And we're not going to get into that there. But this character got very, very sought after and skyrocketed on eBay like no tomorrow. She was ridiculously outrageous in price. She has come back down now some, but she was very, very sought after. But anyways, this figure here, this graphic here looks like this is more of a drawing, not a screenshot image that they took. To me personally, it could be. Maybe it's the filter they used. I don't know. But anyways, you get Cara Dune, lovely graphic. When I see this character right here, and it's not just because I think she's a beautiful actress or whatnot. She is. She's a gorgeous actress. This character to me, when I see it, looks like if this would have came out in 1977 or the early 80s, this figure would have stood in with the face sculpt and all that. They got really close to Gina Carlo on that. Really, really, really close. So to me, this figure is believable to be sitting in the 3 3/4 inch retro or vintage collection line if it would have been released back then. Did a great job on it. I don't know if we would have necessarily gotten that paint on her arm back then because, Kenner was using basically, 1, 2, maybe 3 paint schemes, and that was it. After that, there really just wasn't a lot of detail, but it's believable. You get her rifle blaster, you get her small pistol and all that, so just great. We got a beautiful graphic of her, so wish nothing but the best to her, and I'm heard, rumor says she's coming back to the series when we get Mandalorian third season, so can't wait. I hope she comes on back. Anyways, moving on. Griff Carga, here we go. Not a bad character. I liked his storyline of what he did on the planet as a figurine. Oh, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. I mean, again, not one of my favorite characters, but it is what it is. He's got bright colors. He stands out. It's him. You get his blaster. You get his full cape here. Horrible retro sticker like always. You get a good graphic on him. And, it's just, again, there's characters that were written for this show that I get that were written. But for me, man, it's just something they could have rewritten in just a whole different way. But, I'm not the writers. I'm not the one sitting down there developing it. But I'm grateful for what we got. And, yeah, this is it. But, again, he's not one of my favorites. Moving on, we got the Mandalorian here. And this is the first retro release Mandalorian for this line. Now, I showed you the new 2.0 where he's in that new armor. But this is his armor like we would have seen him, introduced at the beginning of the episode. And right here, we know this is a Mandalorian, a Fett type character right off the bat when you get it. Now, is he believable to be, in my opinion, to be fitting in with that line at that time? Yes and no. I'm 50-50 on it. I haven't really decided. But I think it might be because some of the tans and the browns are really bright. And that's why, as a child, I don't remember seeing those really bright colors. And I think that's why I'm 50-50 on the fence. But anyways, you get his rifle blaster, you get his side pistol and all that. Obviously, there's no holster to holster the pistol. But overall, the helmet sculpt on this round is way better. The first round to me was way better than the 2.0 that just came out not too long ago. So way better here. We get a awesome graphic of him, Pedro Pascal, or his stand-in, looking down kind of to the right there. It's awesome as he's walking through the town. And that's about it. Moving on, the one and only, the child, Grogu. Yeah. Now, to me, this would have screamed 1981, 82 Yoda, right? This is it. And I'm not just saying that because he is a Yidling. I'm saying overall, this figure right here. And I wasn't too keen on if this is the way they were going to go with this story. But I fell in love with it. The Mandalorian. Remember, Mandalorian. Not going into Book of Boba Fett and showing Mandalorian. The Mandalorian. But when they came out with this figure, I was like, you know what? This is something I could have really seen as a toy, as a kid coming out in the 80s. If they would have made it, right? If they would have made it, this would have been it. So anyways, you get Grogu here. You get his stand on the earth, you know, the ground. You get a peg here. You get his little frog, and you get his little pod. So, yeah, I mean, with that being said, man, this is not a bad figurine. It's very believable. You get this beautiful picture of Grogu back here, or as they call it, the child, sitting in the back. Unfortunately, the horrible sticker, as always, up front. But, yeah, very believable character. I could truly feel when I saw this, like, you know what, I think I could have seen this as a kid in the early 80s. So anyways, without further ado, guys, I know I'm going on here. Here we have the Star Wars Mandalorian 3.75 Retro Collection Hasbro release when these came out. Now, are we going to get the 40th Return of the Jedi? Possibly so. They could be coming. Fans predict that it's coming out next year. But we know now, as of this week, we're getting the Obi-Wan retro release figures. Now, I'm going to say, even though I'm not fond of this series, I have pre-ordered those figures. So when those come out, we'll get them. We'll do a review on them. And as always, folks, I'll see you in Yesterland. Hey guys, if you liked the video you just watched, you can always watch more videos like that here. And if you want to even see further videos on my channel, click here.